I was a singer in church. I was the go-to soloist. My father was the pastor, so therefore it was kind of like, it wasn't asked, it was just automatic. And I didn't recognize that there was anything different about my voice or the things that I like to do as far as writing until I was about 9 years old. And it started off because I was intrigued by the fact that my aunt would go out, she would buy a crown, trophies, all this stuff, and one person would take it all home. So I decided I wanted to be that one person, and I began singing The Greatest Love of All at every function. And I'm very proud of the fact that I never lost. But I started singing The Greatest Love of All, and at 11 years old, I did a talent show in downtown Atlanta, which is not too far from where I am from. And I met Dallas Austin, who actually brought me to New York, and I sang in front of Clive Davis, not knowing exactly who he was. I didn't like being on stage. I liked being in the mix because I had never been in that element. So I walked through the boardroom, I tapped shoulders, I sang in faces, I rolled my neck, snapped my fingers, and Clive said, I want her. And at about 19, my life changed because I experienced 3 deaths back to back. A suicide that I witnessed, then my grandmother passing from cancer, and a cousin that I'm only about 2 years younger than died of an aneurysm after us hanging out one day. And that is when I began to write. The early part of my career, I never attempted writing because I was 12 years old when I made my first record. So I was never interested in writing songs at the time. I always liked to come in and hear what they had for me, and I would just pick the songs. And after that, my form of writing came about in a very strange way. I started writing poetry because I didn't like keeping a journal because I would look at how sad I was in those moments. And so my poetry I started to share with different writers and producers, and all these poems began to be songs like Still Standing and all these other records that I ended up recording. So I kind of walked into different phases at different ages because I was so young when it all began. So now, as I go in and I work on different things, I work on different records or whatever it may be, I sit down, I create some of my poetry, I do somewhat of a journal, and then I go to the person that is actually producing the song, and we create whatever the element of it is. But for me, I honestly thought that I was going to either work at a funeral home because my godfather owned one, or I would be a CSI. I really thought I wanted to be a crime scenes investigator. So singing was just something that I thought I was doing because I liked, you know, it was a $1,000 cash prize the night I was discovered and was signed. My objective was the $1,000 prize. Of course, at 11, that sounds like it can change the world. I can change the world with that, right? So for me, I just kind of walked into different phases of my career throughout my life as things have transitioned, and now at 31, and I look back, everything that I do has had this meaning that was kind of the unknown thing for me. I would say get out of your own way. I used to do that a lot. Sometimes we overthink the obvious, and I think sometimes with music, because it is a universal language, you don't have to do so much overthinking in a certain area. It should come natural, it should feel natural. And also, this is a little bit weird, but something I realize is very mandatory, especially when he was talking about publishing and things of that nature. Find a good lawyer. A good lawyer is so key, unfortunately, now in what we do. I have to go to sessions with split sheets in the bag. We had never done that before until I had a record, which equates to checks, held up because somebody is arguing a percentage for over, the song was 3 years old, and it was preventing monies that could have been coming in. So I would say that's one element when you look at the other side that we spoke about earlier. That's one thing, but the other side is get out of your own way. We're all predestined to be who we're going to be. So the journey is already, the steps have been ordered. You're just walking in the path.